Well, welcome everyone to the Tuesday, January 8, 2019 Facilities Committee meeting of the Radnor Township School District. Are there any introductions and administrative remarks?
We don't have any at this time.
Seeing none, we'll now take public comment. Please see the guidelines by the sign-up sheet, and if anybody has any public comment relating to anything on tonight's agenda. Going once? No. Oh, and Ken has joined us now. How are you?
Good evening, Judy Sherry, Governor's Circle, Newtown Square. I guess my comments are mostly related to questions and answers that are posted. So, first one is about 3-point seat belts, shoulder lap belts. I'd like to ask again if the board would consider putting this topic on an agenda for public discussion. My second question, when I asked in October what specifically did the district recommend to Penn Medicine to improve traffic for the high school and transportation center, the response was, as part of the development, Penn will be installing an additional light and a turning lane. We will continue to monitor this project as information is available. 3 months have passed. Does the district have any additional concessions to request from Penn, and what leverage does it have now in making those requests? The district's lawyer, Mr. Caniglia, almost always is a strong and consistent voice representing developers in the township. What recommendations to the district has he made in this case to limit and control development? Number 3, in August, the question was, quote, is the district satisfied with the current state of stormwater management on district properties? Response, the stormwater system located between the administration building and RMS is working properly for the water needs of the RMS bus loop, the RMS west side, and the administration building. In September, the question was asked, is the district satisfied with the stormwater management in front of the administration building and the RMS field? The written response was, at this time, the district is satisfied with the stormwater management for the administration and RMS. After reviewing the nearly $300,000 worth of flood damages, $40,000 out of the district's pocket, from the August 13, 2018 storm that are included in tonight's agenda, has the district changed its mind? What impact will these damages have on future insurance rates, since apparently nothing has changed regarding stormwater management, and surely there will be similar storms in the future? And finally, number 4, where does the district stand regarding the Madsen Ford Bridge repairs and negotiations with the township? Thank you.
Good evening, Cindy Spurtle, Wayne. I have a question on the breakdown that was given for the flood damage after the summer floods. The problem area still seems to be in the area of the middle school, the Sulpizio gym, the administration building, where for years in the past the question has always been asked whether the stormwater management hookup was ever completed, and the question I have, if as the insurance company looks at this area, and we did have to pay out of pocket a little over $39,000, is there a possibility that the premiums are going to be raised since it's been quite a while, and this still seems to be a problem area for the school district and the township? And the other question I was wondering about was, there was a question in November, since there wasn't a meeting in December, on whether or not the school district had sent a detailed list so has this list of flooding damage been sent to the township for possible reimbursement? Maybe the out-of-pocket cost of the district could be reimbursed by the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else? No? Okay. Is there any emailed public comment or? Okay. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to approve of the minutes? Committee?
Nothing changed in them since, I didn't see or hear what the revisions were. Nothing's changed from what was in our packet.
Nothing is
It's
changed.
just spacing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Agenda item number 1, the Bleacher update.
So we did have 2 meetings with our consultant at the end of the last calendar year. We actually have our next meeting is Thursday with the administration and our point of contact with the consultant. We'll be reviewing that information and then we'll be updating the committee in the future.
Now you have 2 microphones. Alrighty. Questions, anyone? All right.
What was it? So I'm sorry, just refresh me then. What is the overall timeline? Are we on the timeline that was presented for the bleachers?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe we are on the timeline. We may be a week off.
So the expectation is it's whatever the feedback was from these meetings with the community and/or administrative recommendations are going to come to this committee next month?
I believe that is still the process.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Now on to number 2, the transportation consultant.
I just wanted to let the committee know that the Sleep Committee had their kickoff meeting with TransFinder, who is going to be helping them do an analysis of a later start time for the high school, an earlier start time for the elementary school, and then also help them look at what is the best possible time for school to start for each of those groups. It appears that that work will be completed by the end of February, and that there'll be some more information available regarding delayed sleep time that will be brought to the board at that time.
And the consultants are also looking at that initial recommendation as well. So the initial recommendation from the committee, they're going to look at. They're also going to look at, what would it look like if we did do some type of change with times in other buildings as well, but also to look at our overall program and say, is there something we're missing here too, as we're trying to look at having adolescents, and looking at what the research is behind adolescent sleep. Is there something that, we're maybe missing within our schedule to give us that input? So they have some directive on some options because of what the committee worked on, but also looking at their expertise to really look at our overall system as well.
So being that they're a transportation consultant, and I know I missed that other report out and I'm okay, I got enough of a debrief around what the recommendations were. But given that they're a transportation consultant and concerns around the high school are going to be traffic, especially if we change the start time, what traffic study information are they using? Because if it's that 3 or 5 year old information, it's not valid.
So, well, that was one of the things we discussed with them, that we informed them that there was traffic studies that have been conducted around our high school in regards to the development that's taking place across the street, and that we were going to share those traffic studies with them and would ask them to also look at the not only the traffic that's there existing, but also to help us understand maybe there's a better flow also internally for how we have the flow in the morning, regardless whether we change start times, how that flow works within our campus.
Sure. My concern is the traffic studies that were affiliated with the site across the street are old, like considerably old in the world of change of traffic patterns, especially since they had been created, which I know we shared this with you for sure, and the rest of the board's been given copies of it. Since they've been created, there's been 5 new developments in King of Prussia, and all the traffic's coming down King of Prussia Road. So in my opinion, those traffic studies, we need a new traffic study in order to really legit understand what the implications will be on this site. And anything short of new information is I don't know how they can do a thorough understanding. I appreciate them doing something on our campus and understanding on our campus and all of that stuff. I know there'll be an added turning lane associated and traffic light at that corner, which will definitely help things. Getting off the campus, it'll help. Getting on the campus, I'm interested to understand. And if they actually would have recommendations for us, like you said, regardless of start time, since they're a consultant on transportation, if they have recommendations about, say, how long a traffic light, a green arrow left turn into that lot should be, given our flow. If they're looking at it from our perspective, I think there could be huge bonuses for us in terms of understanding that. Regardless, like you said, of whether it impacts the start time or not. So I'd really like, I don't know how, maybe perhaps we should discuss that as this committee, as a facilities committee, and be making recommendations or requests for that kind of information as a part of this.
And so far, everything you said, I mean, is going to be part of it and things we can talk to them about throughout the process. As to the traffic studies, we're prepared to share with them the studies that exist. One of the things we could ask them, since they do this, with many districts, and they're reviewing traffic studies is not something new to them. This is something they do, is review traffic studies, is we could ask them, are these traffic studies, because there's 5 or 6 of them, I believe, are these studies up to date enough? And then maybe get their feedback on whether or not they feel we need another traffic study before and then we could bring that back to this committee for a discussion.
Well, so Patty, to your point about the studies being, older, I think, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that the Township and PennDOT, in coming up with some of the traffic improvements that are proposed for Lancaster Avenue and the light system that they're, talking about integrating all the lights and timing and all that, it's possible that the township has information, Penn may very well have done the original, traffic study, and then they may be adding a delta of some percentage, 1.2, 1.4. I mean, I don't know if they've done that or not, but it's possible that with regard to the traffic volume, that the township already has an updated delta number that could assist the TransFinder company in doing.
Well, if they do, they haven't shared it with their
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I know one who's been asking for said information for probably 18 months now.
I don't know. I'm just saying that at some point, in order to make traffic improvements, they're going to have to take a look at the information they have, gauge whether or not they feel it's, to your point, Ken, up to date enough to move forward, and if not, what information do they have, or could they share with us that would give that insight?
That would be helpful.
Anyone else? Good. You haven't spoken tonight. I'm giving you a chance. Okay.
I'm good.
All right. All right. All right, moving on.
Hang on, I'm sorry. But Ken, I do want to reiterate, I did think, I'm so sorry, it was a thought from before. I did think that when we hired this company, TransFinder, that we asked them to be flexible in how they looked at things, to not lock themselves into one particular option, because although the committee came forth with one recommendation, that, until we have the numbers, until we know how much this might cost or not cost or whatever, we needed this company to be willing to be flexible in their approach. We're not getting away from that, right? I mean, we are.
We have not, and
Okay.
we've asked the company specifically that, the initial recommendation of the committee called for an 8:30 start time. Well, if they know an 8:15 start time at the high school makes us all work, we want to know that. Don't rule that out. We talked about giving, some broader parameters so that they don't just zero in on just 1 or 2 scenarios, but instead are much more broad and will give us that advice.
Well, or might take X number of buses versus Y number of buses, which then translates to dollars for us, because it's not just about, I mean, I know this is facilities, but we are going to talk about this at some point in finance. It's not just about the number of buses, it's about, or the routes, it's about the cost.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
What is
Same
that
people.
timeline?
So I think the end of February is when we're hoping to have the results from TransFinder, and then that's going to generate some discussion, I'm sure when we get the results from TransFinder at the end of February, it's going to generate a whole nother set of questions, but gives us the opportunity to then look at some different options in there. So
So if they have not yet seen the traffic studies from the high school, we'll give them to them, I don't know, tomorrow. how will we as a committee, I guess it's not going to come back to us until the February meeting, whether they have feedback for us, suggestions, other things we could or should discuss in terms of them looking at, et cetera.
Yes, I guess that would be the next, because I would go to them,
Sure.
this week, and let them know that, also have, in reviewing those studies, do they believe those studies are
Right, so
pertinent?
we need
And
that
then we can get that,
feedback.
I think we can get that feedback, hopefully from them by next month.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take a little bit of time for them to research that if they aren't familiar. Are they familiar with the area? I mean, like, are they a consultant who works typically up and down the main line in our area, or?
Yes, no, I think I am. I'm not sure if they're actually from the area as much as though they have worked with, when Mr. Hearn and the team met with them and spoke to them, it's the number of districts that they have done, and that the fact that we have used their software is what was very compelling, and
Okay.
what they brought.
Because, understanding what developments happened in King of Prussia, to get to help them weigh in terms of, but the one thing I would respectfully request, I'll use the word respectfully again, because I don't want it to sound obnoxious, but I really would much prefer that they don't just accept the word of the township. Don't worry about it, these studies are good. Because they've said that now multiple times. We need them to advocate for us, independent of whatever the township is telling us. It's just like anything else. We hire a consultant to represent us. I'd like them to really independently look at them and understand whether they are adequate enough, given the age and the change in the community. Because honestly, we want their opinion about this so that it can be the best that it can be, no matter what it ends up being. Even if it's just, everything stays the same and we have a new turning lane and a new traffic pattern and whatever it might be, it could be one end to the other. I feel much better to know that we have somebody who's advocating for us in this area, because I don't think we're paying close enough attention. I don't think we're equipped to pay close enough attention to it, to really understand it, so, thank you.
Okay. Still nothing? All right. Moving on to this. Number 3, the flood damage. Michelle?
So there is a document in your packet that outlines, it's dated January 3rd. It's a summary of the August 13th, 2018 flood damage. It's broken down by the various buildings and vehicles that sustained damage on that flood date of August 13th. You can see there that Mellon Certified Restoration, we had claim total of $125,000+. Miller Flooring, which is the replacement of the wood gym floor at Sulpizio Gym, which we're going to go tour in a little bit, was just over $140,000. And then Turnpike Chevy, which was one of our maintenance men's vans, was also damaged and totaled. The total cost to replace that was the $31,537. So in total, we had just under $300,000 worth of damage. You can see down at the bottom the amount, $241,000, just a little over that. That was which was reimbursed by the insurance. That is for the damage to the buildings and the Miller Flooring claim. And then reimbursed for the vehicle, the almost $5,000 for the vehicle. Keep in mind that the vehicle that we lost was an older vehicle that had several years of use, and so we didn't, of course, get the replacement value for that. We got the value of the van as it was the day that it was damaged.
Did it have any depreciation value left on it? Did we have to offset any of this because of depreciation, or do we depreciate our vehicles?
We do depreciate our vehicles, but that's only for audit purposes. So it's a GASB requirement that we do depreciate them. But this vehicle, I'd have to go back and look at the depreciation schedule to see. I don't recall if what we got, that $17,000, almost $500, if that was more or less than what it was on the books for.
Right, because that matters too, right?
It doesn't matter in terms of governmental accounting because we are not required to depreciate our vehicles. We only do it for a GASB statement that we're required to report.
Okay.
So it really doesn't have any impact on our financial statement.
Okay. And one other quick question on that. Personal vehicles, because I know there was at least one, maybe more, that were on site that were also damaged.
Approximately 6.
Were we liable in any, did the district have any liability or anything in that?
The district has no liability for that.
Okay.
That falls on the individual's personal insurance. But we did have approximately 6 vehicles that were parked in the vicinity that were damaged.
And we were not obligated to pay or did not offer to pay deductibles or anything like that?
We did not.
Okay, cool.
So then you can also see down at the bottom, I've just reconciled the $39,039.50 worth of damages to show that $25,000 of that was the deductible for property, $1,000 was the deductible for auto, and then the out-of-pocket cost to replace the district vehicle is the $13,000 plus. So that's a summary. The claim, as far as the district knows, is complete based on these 3 areas.
Oh, I appreciate that, because we've talked about this every meeting since the storm happened. So
And did
it's
we
nice to get
share it with the township? I know that the last time they were here, Steve Norsini seemed to think it would be helpful if we shared that.
I have not as of yet, but our next meeting with them, we will show them this document.
But I think they need to file. Is there any
Well, I
reason we
can-
can't? Yeah, I
I
would
can
forward
send
it to them, you
Yeah, I
know.
can forward it to them tomorrow.
Wait,
Not a
but,
problem.
file it for what?
Their own claims. They're applying for a grant for losses due to the
Well,
stormwater.
right, but, I mean, why would the school district be any different than any other entity or person who lost something during the storm?
So last month when 2 months ago, November, when Steve was here, that
Okay.
came up as a question.
Right.
And he said, yeah, go ahead and send it to us.
So,
I don't know what he'd do with it, I'm just saying, he said, please send
Yeah,
it to
there's
us.
one of the
So I'm
cops
just
is-
asking, did we send it?
okay.
Yeah,
I
one-
just-
I don't
one
know
of-
what
one
he
of the-
does
One of
with
the
it.
cops is keeping track of all the storm damage in town to make some claim with the state if they ever declare
Yeah.
an emergency.
Okay,
what do
I
you
mean, I
call it?
just wanted to be clear, because
State of emergency or
that,
something.
if we're information gathering to
Disaster
have the
area.
township, make a claim to some other entity or insurance or something, okay, but I wouldn't think it makes sense to send a bill to the school, to the township for this 39,000.
Oh,
It's
no,
all,
no, I'm not
it's all our
suggesting-
same taxpayers.
Oh, no, I'm not
Oh,
suggesting
okay,
sending
all
a
right.
bill. They wanted an
Just sharing
itemized
No, they
list
just
of what the
wanted to know.
damages were so that they could incorporate that into their plan.
Yeah, there's.
Okay.
They're
there's-
going after grant money for stormwater, whatever, and
Yeah, it's the disaster area declaration that one of the cops is keeping
Thank you.
track
Can we,
of.
can we add my car?
So, if you can add my basement, I'm top of the hill, but apparently I don't flood according to people that live downhill.
Mine was the
But-
red car in the picture.
But that's the whole thing.
All right, well, thank you
so-
for that, for the update.
No, that's good, because we've talked about this
Yep,
storm
we
every
have.
time. This is the 4th time at this committee, and I'm sure it'll be the 4th time at the finance committee next, after we're done here, so that closes out the insurance, right? Okay, so we're gonna skip to new business. Anybody have any new business? Going once? No? Alrighty. Last public comment? Anyone? Or,
Yeah, explain
well, we're skipping ahead so that we're going to go over and take a look at Sulpizio Gym.
And I was going to ask, what are we looking to get out of the walk of Sulpizio Gym, just so I know what I'm looking for?
So one of the things we want to do is we want to look at the new floor that was put in after the flood damage. Tammy Cohen is going to be meeting us, and she wanted to show the board some of the improvements that they have done to Sulpizio Gym.
Okay,
So that's the purpose of us going over there.
okay.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of buzzing.
Okay, Mike, but we're just doing a tour. We're not doing any action or making.
No.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
studio
all right, great, thank you.
So, if anybody has any public comment, you know the rules, sign in over there, and any public comment related to the agenda items tonight.
Judy Sherry, my first comment is, I wonder, is there anything that can be done in the future that would mitigate the damage to private vehicles, like where they were parked, or is there a notification that can go out in a timely way so somehow these vehicles can be moved? Because I'm sure the people that, they might have been parents or something like that who were here, were upset about their cars being damaged. So if we could do something in the future to improve that situation, I think it would be good to look into. And then I happened to be looking, the draft budget was just put up later this afternoon, I would say, and I noticed that it looks to me like facility rental fees are down. Like minus 17%, minus 33% at Wayne, minus 16%. I don't know what the rationale for that is, but I wondered if that would be reviewed by this committee in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Sherry. Anyone else? Welcome.
Sound is not emanating
I
from me.
know. I was gonna say check your phone. It's the government spy. Just kidding.
Jeff Bajukas. I just had a question about the Bleacher project and the deliverable that the committee is expecting in February. Is that going to be a written deliverable? Is it going to be an oral report? What is the next step? Because I apologize for not being at that meeting, but the Schrader Group's report and the meeting minutes don't exactly say what the deliverable in February is going to be.
What are we? I forget to.
I was going to say, Todd jump in and Michelle jump in and join, but the piece that I believe we're looking at is what is the summary of those 2 evening meetings, and then what are our next steps in as a result of the feedback that we received at those 2 meetings. There's a steering committee meeting coming up where they're going to digest and look at that feedback, look at the feedback from the meetings, and then Schrader and the steering committee are going to talk about then what are those next steps and bring it here to this meeting. So I think that is still, those deliverables are still being decided on exactly what are the next step based on the feedback we received.
So if there's going to be something written, I'd ask for it to be posted as early as possible so that you can get community input. Because I'll say now, I think there's a lot of community interest in supporting the project. And so the earlier that we get the opportunity to review what the potential plans are. I went to one of the meetings. I know one was attended by about 20 people, the other 40 people. There were a lot of ideas thrown around. A lot of people have a lot of perspectives. So earlier the better on kind of where we think we're going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For my clarity, they're coming back to tell us what the feedback was. There aren't going to be plans. I just want to be sure we're clear. We're not expecting, because we still have to give them guidance in terms of what we even have a budget for, what our 1, 2, 3 priorities are.
Ideas about, I think there's going to be some.
This is like
I don't think
step
there's going to be
1.
concrete plans. No, I think there's
No,
going to
no,
be some
no.
ideas and options,
This is
and
like
here's
step
based on the
0.5.
feedback, here's some potential next steps.
The report itself said that what they would do is meet with the steering committee,
Yeah.
take the ideas, meet with the steering committee, and working with the steering committee, come up with a group of proposed ideas to
Yeah.
bring back
And this is
here.
the
And then there's at some point there's going to be a master plan. At some point there's going to be a reach out to the community for fundraising. But all those things, first thing I think has to happen is what's the scope? What do we think we can do?
Right.
And then
Yeah,
move on
because
from there.
you were at those feedback
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, that was, we got plans of, let's
we
put
were
a
at the
parking
same
garage
ones.
on the lower lot,
Yeah.
I mean, all the way to,
Right.
so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Back. Hey,
You're back.
I am. I'm Chris Henkel. I'm a junior at the high school. Been at a couple of these. I'm here with my sister again. We're in support of the Bleacher Improvement Project, and we were at the community feedback meetings at the high school. I'm actually on the steering committee with Mr. Friel, with Mr. Bechtel. I don't know if you're on it, Mr. Bachelor, you are. And just pretty grateful to be included in that. And a lot of the participants, everybody's just we're all pretty excited about it. And I can kind of tell it's going to be an important thing. It's going to be pretty big. And it's pretty clear that some things are going to be longer term, and some things require immediate attention. And it's pretty exciting that the improvements that can happen are pretty exciting. Just going to continue to emphasize the whole accessibility, the whole safety thing, and that's pretty much all I got right now. But I can get back to Jeff over there, because I'm on the steering committee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone? Buzzing is
quick
really
comment.
impressive.
Yeah, quick comment. I was going to ask if that young man who's been to each one of these committees had been asked onto the steering committee. That was a question I had. The answer to the question in the answers doesn't say that he is on the committee, so I was very happy to learn that he was. It only said that he had attended several of the community workshops. So I'm very pleased to know that he's on the committee because he has been studying this and been at every committee meeting involving the bleachers.
We added a student, Chris, and we also added a parent to the committee.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we will.
Okay. Well, that'll do it for this meeting. Thank you.